Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Another great way to support the show is to do what Tim Stack has done. Tim Stack has been supporting the show since day one. He's at patreon.com/Graham Elwood, where he submits an article like this one: How Unions Can Bridge the Gap Between Climate and Labor Movements. The unionization of environmental organizations is changing the climate justice movement for the better. Here's how. I love talking about this kind of stuff. I did a story a couple weeks ago about how the Philadelphia Museum of Art, the employees unionized there, which kind of is opening our thinking, which is what we should be doing. Because we think unions are just like, oh, for factory workers or construction or something like that. No. Which is why, like, what if McDonald's unionized? What if Walmart unionized? What if Amazon unionized? That's why Chris Smalls is leading this movement with Amazon. But labor and environmental organizations, this is key, because that's why this article is important, why this trend is really it's exciting. It gives me some hope. It's because that's the argument that the especially the Republican Party, but environmental regulation is bad for business. No, it's bad for the 1%. So they tell that lie so that, regular working class people think, oh, well, environmental regulations, that I'm going to lose my job because of that. No. And these are environmental organizations, non-for-profits, which have, part-time and full-time staff members. Every non-for-profit has that. They're starting to unionize. So let's go through this article. Thank you, Tim Stack, again, for sending this to us. U.S. union density has hit a all-time low in 2019. The nonprofit sector appears to be one area where workers are unionizing. Now, that was pre-pandemic. Since the pandemic, look, I've done stories how food processors are starting to unionize. Everyone. I've been saying it for a while, but especially since the lockdown started in March. Especially these essential workers I talk about. If you're in food distribution, whatever, there's obviously nurses union, stuff like that, but find a union. And, we're in a right to work state. Doesn't matter. Find a union. So now what's happening is environmental organizations, non-for-profits, are starting to unionize. The Non-Profit Professional Employees Union, NPEU, brought 7 new workplaces into their union during a 16-day period in April. So that's right when the shutdown was starting. 7 new workplaces. That's big, including the environmental organization Friends of the Earth. Friends of the Earth is a big environmental organization. So now the non-profit professional employees union, that's impressive. Climate justice organizations are some of the many workplaces that have scrambled to unionize both prior to and during the pandemic for the same reasons as other workers: pay, benefits, and job security. Just because you work at a non-for-profit doesn't mean you shouldn't have a voice at the negotiation table with management. But it's even more significant. This article goes into it. It's really cool. It's in the show notes. And I'm going to get into it here in a second. But it talks about, because some of these organizations get corporate, like the Sierra Club gets big donorship. Sometimes these big companies donate to these companies. They do it. It's called greenwashing, to say, oh, look, Shell Oil gave money to the World Wildlife Federation. Aren't they good? It's like 5 million. Well, meanwhile, they made 20 billion in profit or whatever. But the point is, the employees unionizing, then they can push back if these big corporations are leaning on the board of directors. And I'm going to show you an example with our friend Elon Musk. He'll coup who he wants to coup. Labor unions currently have a 65% approval rating. And I bet you that number was not this big a year ago. People are realizing, because of the pandemic, everything's shut down. And then you've got frontline workers, people working in grocery stores, putting their lives on the line, restaurant workers, on top of all of the healthcare staff. So they need unions. As the economy is in shambles, labor support has been steadily increasing because the labor union fights for you. And now you've got some companies going, hey, there's a lot of unemployed people. I'm going to cut your pay. You don't like it? Beat it. I'll hire one of the 100 people standing behind you waiting for your job. There's companies doing that. Well, if you have a labor union, they can't do that. Unions do far more than allow workers to collectively bargain. They give people the ability to practice democracy in the workplace. They have the power to change our political system, and they challenge corporate profit and power. This is a big point. It's a big point historically. This is why one of the things that's happened in the 4 decades long corporate coup that Chris Hedges talks about in Death of the Liberal Class, labor unions have been very critical in America's history at pushing for political and social change. That's why the corporates, the ruling class, has been like, we got to get these unions out of here. Because you already have an organization in place. That's why now more than ever there needs to be unions. There needs to be, because you can have a vote within your union. You can discuss, this is what we want, this is what we don't want. That's democracy. Democracy is, hey, we got to hash this out. We got to hear different opinions. Maybe we can disagree. We got to talk this out and come up with the best solution. Then we get to vote on it. That's right. They have the power to change our political system, and they challenge corporate profit and power. That sentence right there is why they are so against it. That's why when Chris Smalls in April said, we deserve better working at an Amazon warehouse where we're exposed to COVID. We need better protection. We need hazard pay. We need union wages. We need all these things. We need free health care. That's why Jeff Bezos fired him. There's such a threat. That's why Jeff Bezos spent $1.5 million to try to defeat Kshama Sawant and another socialist running for Seattle City Council. Is one city council member that much of a threat to big bad Amazon? Yes, they are. This organizes the masses. The 1% are outnumbered completely at every turn. That's why they have to divide us. That's why they demonize unions. Oh, unions drive up the costs. It's too expensive with a union. No, it's too expensive for the CEO. The CEO, rather than getting a $10 million bonus, would only get $1 million bonus if there's a union. Oh, boo-hoo. Jeff Bezos doesn't get to fly around on a $75 million Gulfstream. Maybe he only gets to fly around on a $50 million private jet. Thoughts and prayers, Jeff. This is why they fight this so hard, and this is why this is so important that this is happening. This is a quote from a woman at one of these unions. Our true focus is corporate control. Unionizing workers inherently beats back against corporate control and control of the food system. I see environmental organizations all the time in corporate partnerships, and we have a hard line against that. Here's an example. Elon Musk, billionaire CEO of Tesla, anonymously donated over $6 million to the Sierra Club. Oh, great. Sierra Club's environmental organizations. But in the summer of 2018, after coming under fire for a $40,000 donation to a Republican allied group, Musk asked Sierra Club executive director Michael Brune for public support. So imagine you're an employee at the Sierra Club and you got that job because you care about the environment. And hey, I could make a big 6-figure salary on some big corporate gig, but I'm going to take this job because I need a job, but I want to get paid. I want to go to work doing something that I believe in, protecting the environment, going against the oil companies and being a lobby group for the environment. Oh, that's important to me. Well, environmental groups like the Sierra Club depend upon donations. Well, they got $6 million from Elon Musk. Did he do that out of the goodness of his heart? No, he did that for marketing. So when he goes on Twitter and says, he talks about he helped the coup to get Evo Morales out of power last year because there's minerals to help batteries for his electric cars and his products. He said on Twitter, we'll coup who we want to coup because he's a fucking piece of shit. I don't care how fancy his electric cars are. That's not the purpose of an electric car, is to make money so you can go ruin third world countries or developing countries. So this is part of, you see how the filthy, unelected Silicon Valley tech billionaire brain works. 6 million is nothing. If you're worth billions of dollars, 6 million is nothing. It's like donating $50. It's nothing. All right, I'll donate $1,000. That gives me some sway. So he asked the executive director for support. And so the executive director is now in bed with somebody that is actually hurting the environment in plundering a developing country and helping to depose a democratically elected leader, Evo Morales, and put a CIA puppet in there. She just lost. Ha ha. Suck it, CIA. So he did that. So he's buying favor with the Sierra Club. So now, can you trust the Sierra Club? Can you? When their executive director is in the pocket of Elon Musk, who has ties to Epstein? Brune initially shared words of support for Musk on his personal Twitter account. Later that year, the Sierra Club released a statement of support of workers organizing at Tesla. Remember when the workers were organizing at Tesla and he said, I'm going to pull my factory out of California because he's a little fucking crybaby bitch like all little spoiled rich kids are? Something union members believe can be attributed, at least in part, to the union. The Sierra Club employees have a union. So they got to actually fight back. They got to push back against management who was in bed with Elon Musk. So they got to say, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to support workers organizing a union at Tesla. That's what the Sierra Club's going to do. That's the power that they have. Do you see how significant that is? I know it sounds a little convoluted and I'm connecting a lot of dots here, but this is how it works in corporate America. And this is a preventative measure, a stopgap, if you will, or a firewall, whatever you want to call it, for organizations like Sierra Club that can be bought and paid for and then be used like a political tool for billionaires that are just trying to curry favor so they can plunder developing countries, because he doesn't give a shit if people in Bolivia lose their lives or homes or whatever. As long as he makes a profit, he doesn't give a shit. That's who Elon Musk is. He's not a cool hipster because he smoked weed on Joe Rogan. He's a soulless bag of shit, and someone should kick him in his fucking face. This is how you fight that. This is why this is so significant. While environmental staffers have formed unions for the same reasons most workers do, their unions may be a tool for something greater. There's a lot of dark shit going down, but this is why we got to find these little victories. And this ain't a little victory. This is kind of a big one. And again, do you work for a non-for-profit? You should unionize. Are you having a place where that's no union? Find one. There's a union out there that'll take you. I guarantee it. The more union members, the stronger the union is. You have a say. You have more than a say. Just as an employee, you can say to management, I don't like it. It's not fair. Oh, you're fired. You have a union. You're not standing alone. They want us alone and divided. The country, when people say, well, make America great again, right? That's the thing. That's Trump's thing, which he stole from Reagan because he's unoriginal. America was so great, right? In the 50s. That's the time they always like to say, well, it was economically, especially if you were white. But the thing they always forget to say, they always forget this out. They leave this out. It had in the 50s, in that growth era, that big growth era, post-World War II growth, highest amount of banking regulation, highest amount of union membership, and highest tax rate. Those three things are what contributed to America's growth. That was where the American dream. You could work hard, get a good job, a good union job, work your way up, buy a house, which would appreciate in value, all those things. You could do all those things back then because high regulation, high union membership, and high tax rate. So That's why it's a tool for something greater. But there's one more thing I forgot. This is the quote here. Our members are at the intersection of labor and environmental work. They work on behalf of environmental causes, but they're workers as well. They're trying to weave their beliefs about the importance of workers into climate legislation and conversations with politicians and union leaders. That's why this is so significant. One of the things I've always talked about, what a real Green New Deal would mean is good union paying jobs, building a green economy, for green energy. And one of the things that was good about unions, you'd be in a union with somebody and there'd be somebody with different political beliefs, different religious beliefs, but you got along and you talk. There's a great book called Bowling Alone, and it talks about how we're more divided now. And now everybody lines up. We all go to the same church. We all believe the same thing. We're all red staters, or we're all blue state liberals, or whatever. We all line up the same. And so we're not listening and hanging out with other people of other walks of life. Back then we used to. Unions was a part of that. The bowling league was a part of that. The Moose Lodge, whatever. But the union, everybody worked together. And we talked about that like in Detroit, like all these different ethnicities, different social education, everybody. Different immigrant, all of that. And then when you meet someone on a personal level and have a conversation with them, maybe you're more open to hearing. You know, you're a big conservative or whatever, but you're part of a union. Trump has eviscerated unions. That's something Joe Biden's not going to talk about because he doesn't want unions either. So this is critical. This is a big win. And I thank Tim Stack for sending this to us. Great way to support the show, everybody. Shave your knuckles for justice. You're all making Gotham great again. Support us at patreon.com/Graham Elwood, like Tim Stack does. You can get bonus content for as little as $2 a month. Get your name in the credits for $2 a month. Go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my YouTube videos are also on Rockfin. It's free to sign up for Rockfin. There's a $10 premium membership if you want. So there's a bunch of free videos on Rockfin, and there's also premium videos that you can get there too. All my karaoke videos are on Rockfin. And then listen to the Political Vigilante podcast, the audio podcast. I take all my live streams and I release the audio of them. That's free. That's on iTunes. That's on Spotify. Likes, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Watch the ads on YouTube all the way through. When you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Thanks for supporting the show so I can keep bringing you stuff like this. You're all making Gotham great again. Haboom.